Greetings and welcome to
Hey
Mentor
there.
Me Memorable Moments. We are
Hey there.
back again for
One more
another
time.
exciting program. This is our financial health segment. And so we're going to be talking to you about some serious things, But before then, I want to say welcome to 150 nations in all 50 states.
Right? And
Okay.
you are?
Tracy Everett Duncan, thank you for that. I'm
And I
Tracy
am
Everett Duncan.
William Craig III, your co-host. And we're excited. That's all that's going on here.
Yes.
Because you heard of Super Sunday. Well, this is Powerhouse Sunday.
All right now.
And this is Powerhouse Sunday because we've got two powerhouse women who are going to share some powerful information. And look, if you've been sick and tired, I know it sounds like a cliche, but sick and tired of being sick and tired. We were talking before we came on the show today about how many folks are just not empowered to do what they need to do for themselves.
That's right.
In every walk of their lives. And that's what this show is about. So if you're new to the show, you're in the right place at the right time. For those of you who've been following us, thank you so much. We appreciate
thanks.
it. But just to let you know, we're not going to let you down today because on the line today, we have our very first guest for the evening, Dr. Etrulia Troy Lee, and she is a powerhouse with a lot of information. Dr. Lee, are you on the line? Dr. Troy.
Yes, I am on the line. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to Mentor Me Memorable Moments. We're so excited to have you here today.
It's my honor and pleasure to be here.
And you're going to be sharing some information with us about what?
Women enlightened and economically empowered, where we help women flourish in mind, body, and assets.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
Yes.
Well, let's get
Yes,
right
you can
into
come
it.
to us and get your MBA, mind, body, and assets together.
Okay.
All right.
I like that.
So talk to us a little bit about we.
Okay. Well, we are a group of women, mainly consistent of coaches. We are life coaches, health coaches, financial coaches, and business coaches. And we came together to be able to really empower women with more than just information. You know, the term empowerment is really, really big right now. And often we see that in the form of a lot of seminars, a lot of conferences, a lot of coaching, a lot of one-on-one coaching, but there was nothing really available where women could take advantage of knowledge and at the same time earn an income. So often if you drop $100, $200, $300 to go to a conference, it's often a feel-good moment.
That's right.
But there's no ongoing connection. There's no ongoing accountability, and the income flows one way. It flows from your wallet to the speaker's wallet or to the author's wallet because you go and buy the book. And often you take that information home and you sit it on a shelf. And we really need to get people out of the mode of just hearing, but doing.
That's right.
So our platform is really what we call social entrepreneurship. So all of the coaches are there sharing their expertise with the women first and enabling them to benefit from their expertise in a very real, financially empowering way.
So, Dr. Troy, I can feel the heat coming out of this conversation. This is going to be good. Yes, this is going to be really good. Before we talk about we and everything that you're doing in the community, I want to know about you. I want to know what got your passion so stirred in this area.
Okay. Well, my background is education. I am a former classroom teacher, a former school principal, the former education division superintendent for Christian ministry, where I was responsible for the preschool and the elementary school and the middle school and the homeschool and a lot of other programs.
Wow, I could feel the heat.
I've been in education for, almost 40 years. When I took the role as principal in 1998, that's when I became acutely aware of how poorly parents were feeding their children. And what I mean by that is lunch boxes that had pretzels and a candy bar. And it wasn't because of lack of income. Or lunch boxes that just had a juice box, but not real juice, and a Lunchable, which is they're just horrible. So I really went on this quest to start teaching parents about good nutrition. And that led me into the nutrition realm, which is where I had the doctorate in. That's in holistic nutrition. And as I began to teach and publish my first book and talk to women about just the importance of eating real healthy food, I so often heard, that's good, but I just can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Now, I know that we will afford what we want because you can afford the Coach bag or whatever else it is that you want. But I really started to sense that a lot of people really wanted to eat better, but simply could not afford it. Now, as a person who's been in the field of relationship marketing, network marketing, multi-level marketing, whatever term you want to give it, I know the power of that business model to empower anyone for a very low cost. So we set out to say, how can we really empower women financially so they can have the assets to buy healthy food, so they can have the assets to maybe walk away from a stressful job, so they can have the ability to be there for their children. So many women are stressed out because their children are latchkey kids. And they're working 8 hours a day, and you still when they have a half-hour lunch, there's 8.5 hours, an hour to get to work, an hour to get back to work. A lot of women are just stressed out.
That's right.
So we were looking for a very real solution to solve. We want you to have money to buy healthy food. We want you to have money to be able to be there for your children. We want you to have money to be able to live the lifestyle that you dream of. And so it all kind of came together under this network marketing, relationship marketing model, and we had to keep it at $1 a day or under.
Well, so let's go back even further because you've got some ideas and some concepts that formed, but I'm not sure where that all came from. I still want to know a little bit more about you, Dr. Troy. So talk about your childhood.
Well, let's see. Childhood in West Philadelphia, born and raised. Thank you, Will Smith. So I do hail from Philadelphia, PA. I am the seventh of 9 children.
Okay.
And the concept, I remember coming home in 6th grade, and no one in my family had ever gone to college except for a cousin. And I remember coming home in 6th grade saying, I'm going to college, because I felt that college was the way out of poverty. Now, I was not horribly impoverished as a child, but we were the poorest family on the block. And it's one thing if everyone around you, they're kind of doing the same thing, so everybody's on welfare. But we were just the poorest family on the block, so we stood out. And we were teased a lot because we didn't have the food, we didn't have the clothes. And while I ate every day, and I'm grateful that I ate every day, I grew up in what you would call a food insecure household. And that means that there's just not always enough to go around. So after dinner, you may want some more food, but there just was no more food to eat.
Yes.
So this idea of knowing that there was an option for me started young. And this idea of wanting to, I guess, wake people up to say there are options. You don't have to do that. It probably started really, really young. I had my first job at 14. And I've been literally working ever since I was 14. So I think that started young. But getting back to when I came home and said I was going to college, I remember that they all laughed at me and said, yeah, right. But I was determined to go. However, I got there and really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that if I got this degree, that I wouldn't have to be the poorest person on the block every time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So that's kind of where it started. So when I got to college, they said, well, special education is a brand new field. They need teachers. I said, sign me up. And so that's how I got into education. I think I'm an education/social worker because I just love empowering people. I love giving people actionable steps. A lot of times we hear ideas, okay, like, for example, you have to forgive. Yes. How do you do that? Or you have to love yourself. Great. How do you do that? So one of the things I'm real big on is show me the actual steps. Lay out the plan. Write the vision, make it plain, but give me the action steps. So that's what we endeavor to do with our program. We give you everything that we do, it's step 1, step 2, step 3. We give you actual steps for you to accomplish what it is you're trying to do. So we go beyond the esoteric of just the idea.
So Dr. Troy, then, okay, I mean, I can hear where all of you today is coming from. I get that now. So I'm understanding Dr. Troy a lot. You and I had a conversation a few months ago when we were talking about bringing you onto the program, and you talked about your marriage early on, and how your husband supported your effort regardless if times were good or times were bad. He was there as your greatest support. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I'm sure there are a lot of women out there that wish they had husbands to support their efforts.
I always like to say God gave me double for my trouble.
Okay.
I always like to say that. I know I'm married to my soulmate. We've been married 37 years. And he has always seen this desire in me to be in the entrepreneurial space. He's always seen the desire for me to just do things differently. And he's just has always supported that. So when I came home and said, honey, my lofty title with this nice big check, it's just not me, and I need to go in another direction. He's like, okay. So he has an idea of what's the worst that could happen. And whenever we're getting ready to make a decision, we sit down and figure out what's the worst possible outcome. And if it doesn't end in death,
Okay.
we're okay with it. So he's just an amazing support to me. And I couldn't do what I do without his support, his encouragement, and his belief in what I do. Years ago, when I came home and said, I need to be home full-time as a mom, he said, okay. So for 14 years, I was home full-time as a mom.
What a dream.
And we just made it work. He made it work. And so, Arvidly, I love you with everything that's within me. And I'm just super grateful that God gave me a helpmate for me. I know they say that the women is the helpmate, but my husband has not only helped me to do what I need to do in terms of my entrepreneurial space, he's also been very instrumental in just me being whole. He's been very instrumental in helping me to see my blind sides, and not many husbands can do that with the grace that my husband has done it with. So I'm very grateful that he can work with me with my flaws and work with me as I'm growing beyond the flaws.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful story.
Yes. So we're hearing that you had a strong parental childhood, that kind of invoked this passion in you. You made it to college because you were determined to do that. And you put yourself into a career that was newly formed and was a challenge too. Special education, that was a challenge. But then you accomplished so much throughout your career that at some point in time, it sounded like you got a little bored and you had to create a foundation or an organization called We. Talk to us about that.
Well, again, We is newly formed. It started in 2015 is when we officially hired all the lawyers and did all the paperwork and all the other legal groundwork you have to do for a corporation. And as I started out saying, it was born out of a desire to really give women a way to go beyond just hearing conferences, just hearing a good message, just getting fired up, but to say very practically, you can take $1 a day and change your life. And that's what we're doing for women. The coaching is there in financial, health and wellness. That's where I kind of hang out, in the health and wellness realm. Personal development. We have all type of coaching topics available. And as they're accessing the coaching topics, they can also bring just 3 women along with them, and then their program is completely free.
Right.
I took a look at your website, and a couple of the ladies in your crew, if you will, I know from FBCG, and I tell you, you have a lineup of superstars. And so I was when I just saw some of the women and again recognized some of the names, I immediately said, okay, this is definitely something that women and men as well, but women need to hear about.
We have some pictures of some of your coaches.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We have some pictures of some of your life coaches too, because they look familiar to me too.
Excellent. Excellent. And guys, understand that all of the women are very accomplished. They're authors, they're national and international speakers, but we have come together under one platform to say we're not competing, we're giving back first. And a lot of the information that is on our platform, people are accessing for hundreds of dollars, and they are willing to share it in a format that women can access it at a very affordable price while they are also earning an income. And every time I look at the coaches, I literally well up in tears because I'm just so grateful for all of them. They're just amazing women.
They are powerful just looking at them. Can you talk to maybe one or two and how you connected with them?
Well, some women I actually met online.
That is the thing.
Sade, I think I actually met her online. I've known Carolyn Tatum for, probably 10 years or more. She and I used to work together at First Baptist Church at Glen Arden. That's where I met her. She was one of the teachers. Kia I've known since she was 3 years old. So I've known Kia for a while. Asita Duncan, the attorney, I actually met through Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. And as I'm seeing some of their pictures flash, I'm trying to remember where I connected with some of them. Queen Chinna I met at a conference. So I've met them just throughout my life. The person that I've known the longest, again, is Kia, who I've just known her since she was 3 years old. But we've crossed paths at different conferences, and someone introduced me to someone else, and it kind of all just came together.
So then now talk to us about how the platform is set up. If someone like me wanted to join your organization and become an instructor or life coach, what do I need to do?
Well, the first thing you would do is connect with me and say, as I look at the platform and what you offer, I really think that this topic would be amazing. And so we look at what topics you want to offer. And then we have to, obviously, you have to be saved. You have to be a believer because all of our wisdom comes from God.
That's right.
So we are a Christian organization, first and foremost. And we just evaluate what it is you want to offer. And if that's what you want to do, we make sure that you understand how everything works and you just literally sign up.
Okay. All right. Now, if I am someone who wants to connect with your organization, but I don't want to be a life coach, I want to take the classes and just get engaged that way, what do I need to do?
Well, we have two options. One, if you just want to use the service, that's $19.99 a month, and a woman would simply go on the website, pick whatever topic she wanted to work on, put it in her basket, and pay for it. That's it. And that's our basic subscription is $19.99 a month. There's no obligation, and if she wants to stop after 1 month, she can. Our coaches are allowed to interact with the lesson monthly, or we have 30-day programs. We have 90-day intensive programs. So it all depends on what a woman wants to do. But the basic cost is $19.99 a month. If you want to be an ambassador and earn income, that is $29.99 a month. That includes your subscription. And it's the same deal for you. You basically choose what session you want to work on, but you are empowered at the $29.99 a month level to bring other subscribers to the service, and that's where yours is free after 3, and or you start to earn great income.
Wow, that's
right.
fantastic.
And when I looked at the income or the compensation plan, it is one that if someone is really serious about this, they could not only change their lives, but change the lives of other people in such a phenomenal way.
And very easy,
Absolutely.
simple to do.
And that's just for $1 a day. Now, we have heard you guys can charge so much more for this. Yes, we can.
Right.
But we wanted to not exclude anyone.
Sure.
We wanted to make this as inclusive as possible. And so, really, when you look at what we're charging, it really is ministry.
Yes.
Right,
Because
yes.
just the fees for the website alone and the other things we have to keep running monthly, we really, and again, that's why I admire all of the coaches so much, because they're willing to give first. They are really giving of their time first before they will ever see any real financial gain on the back end. Will they eventually see it? Absolutely. But initially, not at all. They are really there because their ministry and their method, their ministry and their message they feel is important. And they understand that for those of us who are in a space of financial prosperity, we've been blessed. Mm-hmm. We've been blessed, and we are our sister's keeper.
So let me ask you this. So now I'm loving this. I really am, because when I look at the categories or your portfolio, it really syncs up with what we're doing with MentorMe.
It totally does.
It really does.
It was when I first looked at it, I'm saying, well, wow, this is what we do.
Yes.
to a degree.
So it's like a perfect match.
Right.
So now we've got some viewers who will probably want to connect with you, and they're going to want to figure out, how do they take these courses? I mean, are they webinars? Do they have to come in person? Where are they held? You know, we're 150 nations in all 50 states. So how can all of our viewers get connected with you?
Everything is online. Everything is there online. Once they decide whatever, like say they wanted to work on forgiveness, that's one of the topics there. Wow. They simply put that in their cart, and within a few hours it's emailed to them right in their mailbox. And it may be an MP3, it may be a video, it may be written, because the coaches decide the format. Okay. So we use them all. And they get to work on the information at their own pace. Mm-hmm. But the coach is live weekly or monthly, depending on which program they chose. So they can connect, ask the questions, and continue to work through the information. Does that make sense?
It does. And for the 150 nations that are not on the EST timeline, then they can email and communicate that way with the coaches.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. This is great. This is great news. We're wrapping up our session with you, and so we want to put your information up because we know that people are going to be interested in contacting you. I know I'm going to be contacting you. I think we are connected for life. But if you have any questions or any comments for Dr. Troy, you can definitely reach her at her website, as well as she is on social media, Facebook. You can find her there. And are you on Twitter?
Yes, I am. We're on Twitter under Women EEE.
Okay, that's at Women EEE. And also, you have a telephone number that they can contact with you on?
Actually, just for your show, I am giving out a special number. Right. So they can reach me at 240-223-7450. I don't often give out that number, but your show is just too special for me not to give it out.
All right. And one last communication. You also have an email that they can contact you on.
Yes, they can contact me at troylee@womeneee.com.
Okay, great. So, William, did you have any closing comments before we turn this over?
I just want to say again just how wonderful it is to see the variety of women that you have working with you to empower other women. And Tracy and I were talking again before the show, Dr. Troy, about how many people, I teach, and all week long I'm running into women at different stages and ages. But one of the things that is resounding is that women are looking for choices, and they are looking for a way out of this corporate box that they painted themselves in a corner, or
someone else painted them in.
However they got there, the bottom line is they have finally awakened and saying, they're saying, help.
Yes.
How can I get out? And to know that Women EEE is there to help them is a wonderful thing. And so I salute you and your compadres, if you will, in the work that you're doing. And definitely we look forward to not only having you back on this show again, but definitely working with you in the future.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys so much. And we like to say that we provide a bridge. Whatever your passion is, we want to help you connect with that. And often the income is standing in the way.
Yes.
So if you can take that $1 a day, connect with us, get the income you need to support yourself so you can go do your passion.
All right.
Sounds great. Well, thanks so much.
Excellent.
And
thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you all so much.
God bless you now.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And with that, we are going to transition to our next very special guest.
Whoop.
someone that you know and love and has been talking to you all night long. It's our very own Ted, Tracy Everette Duncan.
Well, hello, everyone. Okay, this is the second half, which is the financial health continuing. And what I want to talk to you about today is workplace violence. How it's like fight or flight. There's so much going on in the workplace. You just don't know where you fit. And it's like you're thrown in the midst of it, and you just got to figure your way out. And if you don't figure it out, you could drown in that mess. So workplace violence, fight or flight, how much will it cost to defend myself?
All right.
Well, Tracy, what do you mean by that? Oh, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. So let's take a look at the next slide, please. Let's talk about discrimination. The prejudicial treatment or consideration of a person of a different race or group, or some type of favoritism over another person or individual or group. That's what discrimination or is in the workplace. Right. Okay, and so because there's so much, and William, you know that when we were down at Salvation Army, we did a complete program for the residents there, and one of the programs dealt with social health. Right. And in social health, combining the different generations into one workplace. Right. And that defined workplace violence, because you have an older civil rights generation, you have a baby boomer generation, you have a
millennials, Generation X. Right now, actually, we have 5 generations in the workplace. First time in history, we have 5 generations sharing the workplace at the same time.
And it's like 5 people in a crowded room, and there's not enough space.
They all have their own opinion about who should be where and who should be doing what and how it should be happening. Oh, and by the way, I need time off because I have to take care of my baby, and I need time off because I need to go and take care of some personal issues that I have as well. And here we go. And then we have those who say, but no, you need to be here because I need you here.
That's right.
Even if you have nothing to do, you find something to do.
That's right. Be busy 8 hours a day.
Right?
Yeah. What do you mean play games? You don't get to play games. And don't even think that you're going to have a supervisor who is far more younger than you.
But, and here we go. And vice versa. You have people who have supervisors who are older than them, and they don't see the way. They don't get it. And then you have supervisors who are younger than you. And guess what? Those older people don't get it. And so there is a constant battle to find the happy medium. And that's one of the things just so happens that I teach on is this particular issue on how to get along in the workplace in those 5 generations. But here we go. It's a real issue because it causes it can cause some very tense moments.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And you hear about all the violence and the fighting going on in the workplace, and to the point where someone will go home and load up and return to the workplace and shoot up. Yeah. Okay, so it's happening. Next slide, please. So when we're looking at discrimination in the workplace, we're looking at then what is employment discrimination? Well, it's a form of discrimination based on your race, gender, religion, national origin, physical or mental disability, age, and sexual orientation. It's a law. It is the law. And discrimination practices include bias in hiring, promotions, job assignment, termination, retaliation, all kinds of things. So no, you didn't get that job because his uncle was hiring and he needed his nephew to work. Yes, a lot of that's going on in the workplace. So people are becoming now frustrated. I have the skill to do that job, but I can't get hired because there's nepotism and favoritism in the workplace. So if you put that slide up just once more, we want to look at these types of discrimination. I listed some for you, but then if you look over to the right column, there is genetic information, pregnancy, and reprisal or retaliation. These are now new. They are now added into the law. And so when we're looking at genetic information, that means if I'm going to be so free to talk to you about my mom who has Alzheimer's or dementia, or my dad who has lupus, you know, if I'm going to be so free to mention these things to you, then I should have an expectation that you're going to be biased against me, because you're going to think that one day I'm going to come in and start exhibiting those behaviors. Yeah, this is what's going on. So now there's a law to protect that. So you don't have to go in and share anything that's happening in your family line. Keep your mouth shut, and then you won't experience this discrimination or have these second thoughts of why you can't get the job that you want.
You know, I never thought about that.
Yes.
That you could actually be discriminated against because of something someone perceives you. There was a movie about that, about arresting people because of crimes that they
or going to
commit in the future. They
yeah.
hadn't committed them. That's wild.
Next slide, please. And so we're also looking at a couple of more new things. You can put up the next slide. A couple of more new things that hit the laws. And so we're seeing now that marital status, parental status, and political affiliation are an issue. Now, you couldn't talk to me about my kids during the interview.
That's correct.
But you figured out how to work around that by warming up to me when I come in to sit down. Oh, do you want some coffee? Or did you have problems getting here? Or, oh, kids? Really? You have kids? And no, all that is against the law. But now parental status is becoming an issue. There are a lot of single-parent households out there.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so you can't hold it against me if I'm a single parent and that I can't travel because I'm a single parent, or I can't work overtime because I'm a single parent. It's against the law. So again, I say to our viewers, because you are now protected, keep your mouth closed. Don't get sucked into that, okay? It's nobody's business what's going on in your household unless you make it that. Okay, let's look at the next slide, please. So EEO was set up, employment, equal opportunity and employment, wait a minute, Lord Jesus. It's been a long week. Opportunity Commission. Thank you. That's why you are there. So in fiscal year 2015, and for us who really live in the calendar years, fiscal year for the federal government is October the 1st of 2014 to September 30th of 2015. So EEOC came up with some stats, and they said that 89,385 charges were filed concerning workplace discrimination.
Wow.
That's quite a bit. And retaliation charges increased by 5%.
Okay, tell people what that means, what retaliation is.
That means if I don't like something about you, or I am mistreating you in some kind of way that is breaking the law, the civil rights law.
And you report it.
And or I even speak out against it without even reporting it. Okay. If I don't like it and I do something about it, you don't like what I did, and you do something to me because of it, that is retaliation, and that is against the law.
And it can take many different forms.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Retaliation could look like something as simple as I'm changing your work schedule. Okay, so everybody else has a favorable work schedule, but you're working the grunt hours. You know, or I take away some of your work and distribute it out to other folks. You know, or I'm watching your time more so than anybody else. I mean, retaliation can be so many things. I'm going to change your annual performance review. You know, everything was fine up until the annual performance review, and then something happened, and it's caused a friction between the two of us, and now you're out to get me. And so retaliation is on the increase, but what this also tells me is that the workplace doesn't care. They think they can do this to you and get away with it, and they can't.
And you know, the other side to that coin, in all fairness, is that oftentimes what I'm finding is really a lack of training for folks who are in positions of management.
Well, didn't we just talk about that? Who's in the workforce? The different generations. And if the young people haven't learned how to be managers, they're frustrating the older generation.
And you've got some older folks who came along in the good old boy network, I'll just say it, And so you did it, and you did it because I said do it,
That's
and
right.
you don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions.
And so that's causing some issues
How dare
with
you.
folks who are coming along
You're
saying, hey,
insubordinate.
this doesn't make sense.
Oh.
Well, I'm looking at the mission statement, Joe, and, based on our mission statement, this goes counter to it.
Okay, and the older we get, the slower we get, and the younger people, they're flipping in there. They're working it around us.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, but hey,
It works both ways.
yes, it does.
That's
Next slide, please. Okay, so I want to take a look at this type of discrimination. I want to put those stats to it. Look at this. Disability is 30% of
all of the discrimination.
Disability.
Right.
And granted, the disabilities are changing now. Diabetes now is listed as a disability. And gosh, that's so many millions of us. I can go into the federal government and put down that I have a disability as diabetes. And because of that, I can get special ranking when I want to go and find a job.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Wow.
We look at harassment. It's up to nearly 28,000 charges, or 31% of the complaints. Harassment is a big to-do because EEOC launched a select task force on this study of harassment in the workplace March 2015.
And this doesn't even take into account the military,
No.
which has its own stats
That's
that
right.
are quite alarming.
That is right. Okay, so let's look at the next slide and talk about harassment. And when we see harassment, we know that it's a form of employment discrimination. It's unwelcome conduct that is based on, race, color, religion, all that we had mentioned, and for those who are over 40 as well, and the genetics are mentioned in there.
Okay.
But at the next slide, when we talk about harassment becoming illegal, what does it take to do that? Well, harassment becomes unlawful where enduring the offensive conduct becomes a condition of your continued employment, or the conduct is so severe and pervasive enough to create a work environment that a reasonable person would consider it's hostile, it's abusive, and it's just intimidating. And so when we look at these laws, no one can say you either do this job or you're fired. Okay. No one can say, oh, you come in every day and you do this mechanically and meticulously this way when everyone else doesn't have to follow those rules. You have to do that.
Right.
And if you don't, I want to know why. And if you don't, you have to do it over again. And this is constantly going on every day in the workforce, and you are experiencing it multiple times within a day. That is just too much that an individual can take. But there are a lot of our foreign and immigrants that are working in a workforce that's like that. And whether they are citizens or not, they are protected by this law. You cannot treat them like that. When I started, looking at this course, there were some videos out there that EEOC produces because they have to talk about this. They have an outreach where they have to educate the community on this. And one of the videos was of a gentleman who came from India.
Okay.
And there were many of them working in this particular job. And he was reading his testimony before Congress, congressional hearing, because of the discrimination. It was just so bad. He could not finish his written testimony.
Wow.
He had to push the paper away. He had to push himself away from the table because he talked about how they made them all stay in one room and couldn't leave out of that room during the 8 hours of their work job except to go to the bathroom. And they all couldn't go at the same time, so some of them urinated on themselves. They couldn't get water, fresh water. They had to eat at certain times of the day, and then that wasn't enough for them to eat. I mean, this is happening
in the United
America,
States.
in all 50
land
states.
of the free.
Okay. All 50 states, this is still going on. So when people are working in these inhumane conditions, then they become frustrated.
Sure.
And they want to talk about this, and they don't know who to talk about this with. And so when the environment becomes offensive, let's look at the next slide. We need to talk about what constitutes an offensive environment. And that's when you feel that you're being talked about, you're being made joke, slurs or hitting you, you know, slur like for any woman of any color or nation, you know, who is pregnant. And for someone to come by and say, oh, you know what, I heard that people in your country can pop those babies out on the job and throw them over their back and get back to work without any problems at all. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. And they still say these things in the workforce. Okay, so harassment can occur in a variety of circumstances. Could you put that slide back up for real quick? So harassers can be the victim's supervisor, a supervisor in another area, an agent of the employer, a contractor can harass you, or a coworker or a non-employee, a visitor can harass you. Okay, a victim does not have to be the person harassed, but can also be anyone who's
affected
exactly.
by it, yeah.
So if I see somebody picking on you, then I can go and complain about that. And unlawful harassment may occur without economic injury to or discharge of to the victim. So it doesn't matter if you're losing wages or anything like that. If it's upsetting to you, it's intimidating, threatening, and offensive to you, it's harassment, and it needs to stop. And you can stop it, or I can stop it on your behalf, but it has to stop. Next slide, please. So when this harassment continues on, it begins to create a hostile workplace. Yes. And a hostile workplace, now one person can harass you, but if the friends of that person see that they're getting away with it and it seems fun to them, they can gang up on you in the workplace and harass you. And by this, they can now escalate that harassment to the place that they're putting nasty little comments on your computers, or they're saying little snickering things about you in the break room, or they're telling you when you're talking to someone in your foreign language and you're minding your business, they can tell you, oh no, you have to speak English here, English only. You know, those kind of things create a hostile workplace. The berating of your work, it's not good enough, do it over, I don't like it, you know, or can't you write correctly? Those kinds of things become or creates a hostile workplace. That's not a good thing.
Not at all.
So let's look at the next slide, please.
And it creates a culture.
Yes, it does.
You know, the part of the culture is created by what's written in the quote-unquote employee handbook, if there is one. But part of the culture is created by what everyone else sees everyone else doing.
What's passed down. So, you know, if you're looking at a hostile workplace, you're looking at things that are derogatory. There's sexual harassment going on. These actions are intentional. They're severe. They're constantly recurring. They're offensive, intimidating. You know, do you remember that commercial where the guy would come home from work and he would say, not another day, not another day, not another day, not another day.
Not another day.
This is what that environment feels like. You can't get up in the morning. You don't want to get up in the morning and go to work. You just don't want to deal with it. It's like the week is one long day, and it's never going to end in your mindset. You know, you're going to constantly have to be done with this because you have to pay your mortgage. You got to feed your kids, you know. You got things that you have to take care of, your responsibilities, and so you just got to suck it up and deal with it.
And, you know, we talked to Dr. Troy earlier, and she was talking about she got to a point where she wanted to make real change and said, hey, you know, basically to her husband, I need to step out of the box and do something else. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of times what happens is we find ourselves in the box and saying, well, you know what? I don't want to step out of the box. I want to change the box.
Well, that's right.
And that can cause you to be in a hostile environment.
It can, because you're hopeful. You know, let me just say this, you know, because I've been there. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm teaching about, too. When you don't fit, there's nothing you can do to try and please them. Because they don't want you.
They don't want you there.
They don't want you there. And they'll do anything possible to get rid of you. It's nothing that you've done. You could be the best employee, and we often are the best employee. And they don't like that because you just don't fit their mode. You're working too fast. You're too smart.
Yeah.
You figured it out, and we haven't figured it out in years.
Right.
How'd you come up in here and figure that out like that?
Right.
Well, yeah, it's going to work. Why didn't I think of that? No, or they'll try and steal your ideas. You just don't fit. So stop trying. Stop trying. Because even if they do befriend you, it's only with a purpose in mind. And once they have accomplished that purpose, you're gone. Yeah. So let's look at the next slide. Let's talk about the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission Office. It's responsible for enforcing federal laws that make it illegal and discriminate against a job applicant or an employee because of the person's race, color, religion, etc. It's also illegal to discriminate against a person because a person complained about discrimination, filed a charge of discrimination, or participated in an employment discrimination investigation or lawsuit. This is what the employment EEOC is there to do. And its role at the next slide is to investigate the charges. They are to fairly and accurately assess the allegations, and they're supposed to make a finding. And so if EEO finds that discrimination has occurred, then EEOC will try to settle the charge. But sometimes it's not always successful. Mm-hmm. So people say, I'm going to file a charge with EEOC. And there's a process you go through. I'm going to explain that in a minute. But if your case gets to EEOC and they investigate it, they're going to try and work with your employer to settle this, so that it doesn't go to court, because court is quite costly. Yeah. But if your employer does not want to settle this, then EEOC says, okay, fine. Then we're going to move this to in front of an administrative judge in a hearing. Suit. Yes, they are filing suit on behalf of you. Okay, as if you file with the EEOC. Right. Okay, next slide, please. So then filing a lawsuit, like we said, it can be expensive. Okay, so you're looking at your complaint. You're looking at the charges of discrimination that need to be investigated, and if they find in favor of you, then on to court you go. Okay, next slide, please. So this is how much it's going to cost if you decide to file a lawsuit. If you file an EEO complaint within your company first, because EEOC Commission has given birth to baby EEOs. Oh, okay. Okay, so each company or federal agency, state, local, municipality has an EEO office. Okay, if your company does not have that, then they need to be reported. Okay, out of compliance. That's right. So you file a complaint within your company, and that's free. And the complaint will go to EEO, or your complaint will go to Human Resources. I don't like being treated like this, okay? Human Resources is supposed to investigate. EEO is supposed to investigate. If they don't, then you need to talk to someone about them not being in compliance, okay? Don't believe everything that they say, but you know what? That's for my training class. I'm going to teach you how to deal with that.
If you could put that slide back up, though.
Yes, so then when you file an EEO complaint, is $0, but sometimes companies don't play fair. So they'll get your papers lost, or they'll get your complaint mixed up, or they'll write the wrong thing, and you have to go back and correct it. It can become frustrating. Because what did you tell me that time? This is what they do. They frustrate you so that you can quit, go someplace, and leave them alone. But if you involve a lawyer at the EEO complaint within your company, it's going to cost you about $160 to $300 an hour for that lawyer, unless you can find someone who can do it pro bono. And usually the pro bonos are the legal students, first-year law students, or even some lawyers who really want to give back to the community. God bless them. We need more of you. We need more.
And if there are any of you listening, please, or if you know some, please give us a shout-out on MentorMe411.com and let us know so we can share that information.
Exactly. So when you do file this complaint, make sure you document. Make sure you have your document together, because that is what they're going to ask you. EEOC says that your complaint should be on the basis of, and we told you what EEO defends, race, color, nationality,
sex,
exactly.
But here's that's where you begin. And I said this in a class recently. Part of the problem that many of us have is that when we get ready to complain, we have no evidence. And what our management is very good at, that we are not good at, is documenting.
That's right.
And so to be able to say on January 13th, 1997, I came to work and here was the situation I found. Here's what was said to me and here's what took place. The same instance took place on the following dates. And to be able to have all of that information so that you have a case. If you don't have that information, it's very hard to make a case.
Exactly. And so there are some out there who don't write or who don't journal, but you have an iPhone, you have an Android, press record and send yourself a message or send an email to your personal account, because I can tell you this, when you declare war on your boss, they're going to fight with everything they got.
Big
and
guns.
You better be ready for this.
Big
That's
guns.
right. So, there are rules of engagement in the Bible.
Yes.
There are rules of engagement in our military today. You have to understand the rules of engagement, okay? The law says you are to go to the person who is offending you, harassing you, or creating this hostile work environment for you and tell them to stop. Make it very clear that you want them to stop this and for these following reasons. If they don't do it, then you begin to escalate your complaint within your organization, whether that's the supervisor, but if it's the supervisor who is harassing you, then his supervisor or human resources. You keep going until you have exhausted yourself there. But you document. And if they put it in email, you respond in email always, okay? And you keep those copies as well, because sometimes this takes 2, 3, 4 years to resolve. And you may have pushed on, or you're still in that place, but they got word they better leave you alone, and so you'll sit for a period of time and time out. And they won't give you any work to do. And you won't have anything to do, anybody to talk to, because now you're labeled. This is a horrible experience, but if you're going to declare war, you got to be prepared. So let me go to the fight or flight, since we're going to wrap this session up. If you can go to the chart that says if you choose to fight, start with EEO. I think it's the next one. Okay, so if you're going to choose to fight, there is no mystery in any of this, and filing complaints and taking your employer to court. There's no mystery. Everything is timed and calculated. There are a number of days for this and that. So this is a sample. This is something that came out of, I believe, the military, the Army. So when you have an action that you want to file, you have 45 days from the initial time that action happened, or 45 days from the time you became aware that it happened, okay? And if you go over to 46 days, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. This is the law. It has to be within 45 days. And so you go through the process. When you file it, the EEO has 30 days to investigate. 30 days to investigate. If you are sitting 3 months, 6 months, and you still haven't figured it out, or they haven't gotten back to you, something's wrong. Pick up the phone and call. And don't forget to follow up in an email. Document. I hear you out there. I do. Next slide, please. So that's if you decide to fight. If you decide flight instead, there's no harm in that. You're not a chicken. You're not a coward. You're not a quitter. Exactly. You can't fight everything in your life. If you're dealing with stuff at home, this will be just too much for you, and they'll probably use it as a reason why you are incompetent and exactly. And perhaps you need to go to that employee hit thing that they have assistance program.
Can I just say one real quick thing here? And here's one of the things that I've learned, because oftentimes, and this came out recently, oftentimes management will find out about information that they're not supposed to find out about. These quote-unquote confidential conversations aren't confidential. One of the remedies or the ways around that is you can enroll in a local community college and take classes. Guess what? As a result of being a student at a community college, and it could just be one class for $15, $30, whatever, you can take advantage of the services offered. Most, if not all, community colleges today offer some sort of counseling service, which has nothing to do with your employer. So they
Right.
never, ever have to know
That's right.
that you have gone to seek counseling.
And that's also an opportunity to increase your skills and move on to something else.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you get your plan in place. But let me close this out with the
Man,
slide.
Run out of time.
Yeah, I know. Here we go again. You got to know your rights. Okay, read the playbook. If you know the playbook for football, basketball, baseball, and all that, you need to know the playbook for workplace violence. Okay, don't ignore the signs. They are not your friends. They're trying to get rid of you. They will befriend you to learn what your weakness is, but believe me, you don't fit. Right. And then get advice or assistance from somebody on how you should move forward with this. So I want
How
you
do we
to
get in touch with you, Tracy?
I want you to connect with me. There I am on social
Well, next
media.
slide.
Next slide, please.
There we
you
are.
can read, tweet me, website, YouTube, hashtag MentorMe 411. I really want to talk to you there. But I'm going to be on call tonight. And there's a conference number and the PIN number. And this is for all 50 states. I apologize to the foreign nations. I want to get that information out to you. But tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I will be on call to talk to you about this, to hear what your concerns are, to give you some advice. Believe me, I have lived this in my career time over time again. And I think that's why I'm called to this area. So, William, that concludes our financial health segment. Okay, you can take that down. You know what? We are coming back next week with Dion Shaw Bush in our physical health segment.
Okay.
And so until then, we want you to be
safe,
be smart, be healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.